Hey everybody, JT's Reborn here, and welcome to another edition of After the Movie. I'm currently in my theater parking lot, getting ready to go see All the Money in the World, starring Kevin Spacey, Christopher Plummer. So, I don't know how this movie's going to turn out. Could be good, could be bad, but it's hopefully better than the last movie I just watched, which was Father Figures. So I've definitely lowered the bar for this one. So hopefully I leave the theater on a good note, because Ridley Scott is a very hit or miss filmmaker. I liked the first Alien movie. I liked Gladiator. Thought Alien Covenant sucked. And, yep, that's all I gotta say. See you guys after the movie then. Hopefully it's good. We'll see how Christopher Plummer does instead of Kevin Spacey. Alright, I just got done watching All the Money in the World. I'm here with Marlon again. So, Marlon, what did you think of All the Money in the World? I just sat through Father Figures, so I'm pretty much emotionally drained after that turd. So,
Well, All the Money in the World, I kind of expected more from it. I mean, it was just very, very dull and kind of bland the whole way. It was kind of boring.
it was.
I mean, the story it's a good story, but like they
Executed it poorly.
Well,
They didn't make it
there
interesting.
was no emotion, there was no tension really. It was like I sort of knew it was going to happen because like I watched an interview or like the real life story, or not an interview, but a story like a ABC World News Tonight story or whatever, talking about how they replaced Kevin Spacey. And my initial gut was that Kevin Spacey seemed to play like a real like badass like evil man that you love to hate, and Plummer was saying that he played it more sympathetic, but at the same time
He was still an asshole in the movie.
he was still a piece of shit.
Like, acting wise, Christopher Plummer does a good
There's
job.
only a couple scenes where you kind of sort of like understand, where he's like, I'm surrounded by people who just want my money. He's like, they're parasites. But the people in this movie make some really dumb decisions, and like,
Oh my god, this movie.
I don't know. Like,
Okay, so let's talk about the plot of this
I
movie.
really would have liked it better if it was like a family drama. If it was just everybody just arguing about money.
What it needed was Scorsese.
Yeah, it would have been.
It really needed Scorsese to like look over the script and make it interesting, because this movie was so boring.
It would have been better if it was all about the Gettys and then the kidnapping was just a section of the movie.
Not the whole movie, because it drags so much. Mark Wahlberg's in this movie too. He plays
The movie
Fletcher Chase.
Like, it could have been like at least 30 minutes shorter. They could have made it really interesting, but it just wasn't.
Just went on and on. Like, maybe it's because I sat through Father Figures right before this, but but my bar was already lowered going into this movie, and I was bored out of my mind. So this movie, I thought it was gonna be like, I didn't really know what it was about. And as soon as this thing started, it was like Getty. The movie starts out, it jumps around so goddamn much. Like, it's like, we're 1975, 1963, 1962, 1969, 1972, 1973, 1969. It was like, it was jumping around so much, and I'm like, what is the point of all this? Just tell a linear story. You know what would be more interesting? Tell the story of how Getty, what is that, JP Getty or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, JP Getty started from where he was at and amassed his entire empire.
They showed it, but very quickly.
Very, very quickly. That would have been a way more interesting movie. I'm like, wow, that's a more interesting story. Instead of like, we have his grandson who like had like 2 lines, gets kidnapped, and it's not an edge of your seat type like kidnapping movie like the first Taken was or something like that. This is just, it just went on. It was just like negotiating tactics. And
but even those scenes weren't really all that tense, just because they were negotiating with a guy who was looking out for Paul, the
kid who gets kidnapped.
So it's not. So it just, there wasn't really a whole lot of tension. There was a lot of information we already knew. I guess if the situation was the kid gets kidnapped and we don't know what's happening, because remember the scenes where she was like, "Is this a joke?" And they're like, "Why would you say that? Are you in on this?" And it became like that sort of thing, where maybe he kidnapped himself. Which is, in my opinion, really stupid. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this movie was not, all those things that came up, you already knew that he wasn't kidnapped on purpose. You already knew that. It's like in The Big Lebowski, which is another movie where somebody gets kidnapped. The whole movie, we have to assume that she is in trouble. And remember the toe?
Yep.
And you think it's hers, and then Walter's like, oh, hey, give me a few hours. By 3 o'clock, I can get you a tow. And then he's like, believe me. And then he's like, well, they got somebody else's toe and they painted that green. And so, but you're thinking Walter's full of crap, but Walter was actually writing the money. So, but at least again, you didn't know. This movie, you knew where everybody was, and you pretty much knew what was going to happen.
Although not this
Pretty
boring.
predictable.
Like Mark Wahlberg's in this
So it made
movie.
it boring. Mark Wahlberg is absolutely unconvincing at this. He's supposed to be like this ex-secret agent, like James Bond kind of guy who like, oh, I've done this all the time. But he plays
so
it. But he
awful.
plays it so awful.
He's wrong. Like
It's
every
not
single
even his
time.
character making the wrong decisions. It's just the way he plays it. He's so like, well, yeah, we're going to go do it right now. Like, why does he talk like that? He's not even a hard ass. He's not like he's a badass like ex.
The
like,
funniest scene in the movie was when he's just yelling at Christopher Plummer. He's just doing that Mark Wahlberg yell.
I give you the security. Like,
I give you the security. Well, you what? No.
Like, I don't know. Everybody, the woman in this movie who's all stressed out the whole time could
She
be
looks-
more unlikable. I don't know. Just
I don't care what happens to this kid.
I mean, she's so distraught because of her son, but we hardly ever really show any emotion. She's just
we never
like,
showed a real family
she's just always
connection
just
that
shaking,
much.
and her stupid posh accent. It's
Yeah,
just,
and then-
where did she get that from? She said that she wasn't a real Getty. Like she wasn't like a real one of them. She basically married into the family. That she was from San Francisco. So wouldn't it make sense that? And then what happened?
How about the scene where they shoot like their one lead to finding the kid? Like,
I'm not gonna blame Ridley Scott because he did shoot this movie very well. He's never been a really actor's director anyway, so he's almost like, okay, do it however you want it to do it. But he definitely, from a visual standpoint, does a good job, and I think the movie's shot very well. It's colored well. Sets are nice, so he definitely
visually it looks nice, but that's not enough to get me through a movie. It drags so much. Like I was sitting there, I'm like looking at my watch like 80 times.
Again, they were just feeding you information you already knew, and it's just back and forth, back and forth.
It wasn't engaging. Like it wasn't like I wanted that. This movie should have been
There was
like
no drama.
there was no real drama
It was just
or
like, I
tension.
can't believe he's not going to pay. Well, I mean, it felt more like a business dealing than it did.
Exactly. It's like sitting through a long, boring ass
This is somebody
meeting.
who got kidnapped, and then like
It should be more intense. Like I'm gonna get my
even
son
when they
back.
get the son back, it's almost like so anticlimactic.
It was very anticlimactic.
Freaking Mark Wahlberg, come on, let's go look at the dogs.
Hey,
Like,
Paul,
let's go look at the dogs. Like, come on.
yeah, it's
Yeah, it's.
there's
maybe,
one intense scene where they cut off the kid's ear.
If it's worth like maybe a watch on Netflix, but that's.
Do
about
not pay money to see this in the theater. Like I was, my God, like that scene where they're like they have their one leads. They shoot all their leads to the kid's kidnapping.
Kevin Spacey, I feel like they cut a lot of stuff out. Maybe there was a lot more scenes with him, because the way they were marketing the movie, they're like, and Kevin Spacey as J.P. Getty, and I was like, and it was almost like, look at him, and I was like, wow, it didn't even look like him, to be honest with you, and
So like they should have just
I
honestly.
didn't even recognize him. Christopher Plummer was just Christopher Plummer, and Kevin Spacey was the perfect age where they can make him look younger or make him look older.
Well,
I'll tell you all
either
about
way,
this
if he
thing.
did do that stuff,
He did.
He's-
He did. He did.
yeah, he's done.
Kevin Spacey's done.
Yeah, he's done. Goodbye. We'll be seeing him a
We'll
few years
never
on the.
see- I mean,
We'll either never see him again in another movie, or we'll see him on the Sci-Fi Channel in a few years.
We'll never see Kevin Spacey ever.
He's
again.
just. Apparently, he's just vanished from
He's
everywhere.
seeking treatment, but he's like Weinstein before he left Hollywood. He was like, "I'm going here," and then he just we haven't seen him. But
Yeah.
Spacey's just gone. Like he just disappeared off the face of the earth. Well, All Money in the World.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
It's a movie that you put on late at night when there's nothing else on. You're just like, I'm just gonna watch this,
And you'll fall asleep to it. It's a
And-
great movie to fall asleep
and
to.
maybe you drink a beer and then you just sort of just
Yeah, but yeah, so far,
I would give it a. It's not bad, but it's not good. It's
just really boring.
It's just right in the middle. Well, it's boring because none of the characters are like oh my god, like they're not freaking out, and even Jake.
They show no
Even
enthusiasm.
John, the beginning of the movie was really cool. Like I was really in it, and when they kept going back to the '60s and stuff, they kept bouncing the years. I thought the movie was going to keep doing that, like
Nope.
showing maybe why Getty won't pay the ransom. But we don't even know how much money he has.
Oh yeah, he's like, when will you feel financially secure? You're the richest man in the world. when I have more money. And I literally leaned
How
over.
much does he have?
I'm like, we've got to have money.
I mean, is the stuff he even does? I mean, I'm just curious. Is that even real? Like he was like he put all of his money in like a charity trust so he could not pay taxes, and then but he wasn't allowed to purchase anything. But what he did purchase was investments, like paintings and like.
Mm-hmm.
So is that how it works to be a rich billionaire? You just have to like cheat the system like that. Like, oh yeah, I'm a philanthropist, but I collect these valuable paintings. So he's just sitting on a gold mine. Like it's just.
And then he can just sell them back if he wanted to. I guess so. I don't know. Fuck
I don't know. Like it's genius, really. But
yeah, don't really buy. I don't really see a reason to watch this movie, especially in the
it would
theaters.
have been a lot cooler if the movie was just about Getty, and like I said, there was
his rise to power.
And there's a part about like maybe you even kind of like him a bit, and then this portion of the movie could be like the second act. And the kidnapping shit happens, and then you find out like, oh my god, he's such a piece of crap. He won't, pay his, that at least could have like.
It could have been more interesting. Like this should have been a subplot. This is like a subplot turned into the main story.
Exactly.
That's the biggest problem with All the Money in the World. It's a subplot of a much more interesting story that got turned into the feature-length movie.
Because a kidnapping, it's like it can only end a couple ways. They don't pay their. They always, in every kidnapping movie, they always get. The person that gets kidnapped always
comes
back. Like they always do. There's only like one storyline, and that's Max Payne 3, and it's all from his perspective. But she gets kidnapped on his time, and then when it's time to get her back, he tries to be all hard ass, like I'm gonna get my hands dirty and do it myself. And then halfway through the game, like the midpoint, like right in the center, like right in the middle of the game. She gets shot right in front of him, and he's just like, so he fails on every note. That's a good kidnapping story because he completely screwed it up. He botched it, and it's pretty much all his fault because he's a raging alcoholic in the game, and he pretty much knows it. But again, it's a good kidnapping story. Even what was that one movie with
Taken.
Denzel Washington?
Oh, I was gonna say Taken's a good kidnapping story.
No, I think Man on Fire. That one's the best.
Yeah,
that one was really good.
Wasn't that also a Ridley Scott movie, or was
that was Tony Scott? That was
Tony Scott? Okay,
his brother made a better.
So it was a Scott movie. Yeah,
his brother made a better. It's funny. It's a Scott-free movie. This movie.
Yeah, that's what comes on the things. I'm like, well,
Scott-free production.
And I'm like, well, no, Ridley Scott directed it, and Kevin Spacey didn't get off scot-free. So
that's not really. Can't really say that.
Yeah, you can't really say that, but yeah. Oh well, we've rambled on about this movie enough. I don't really recommend it. If you do watch it, wait for late night Netflix and something to fall asleep to. Or
if it's accidentally on TV or scrolling through the channels, oh, I didn't see this one.
Yeah, there's no reason to pay money in the theater like I did and sit there for like 2 hours and like 20 minutes.
Maybe it's worth a matinee showing if you really wanted to see it.
Yeah.
If you really thought, oh, it looks interesting.
Yeah, I was pretty let down by this movie. I didn't even know what this movie's about. I just know they recasted Kevin Spacey. So I had no idea what I was getting into, and then I saw it and I was like...
I think it would have been better with Kevin Spacey, to be honest with you.
Acting-wise?
All around. Like, I think the reshot scenes weren't as good anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? But what's done is done. The movie's finished. Ridley Scott's off to probably ruin the Alien series some more with his next movie.
With his fucking robots.
Yeah. So, 2 Ridley Scott movies I've seen this year. Alien Covenant and All the Money in the World. Alien Covenant was definitely stupider, but I definitely laughed at it a bit more, and I was more interested in the movie, as angry as it made me, and as dumb as it was. I'd rather watch a movie that, like, at least elicits an emotional response from me than a movie that just bores the shit out of me. So, yeah. So, overall, not a good year for Ridley Scott movies. That's all I gotta say, and thanks for watching, and see you all later.